Welcome to the Happy Place to Grow. I'm Mrs. Davis, and I am so glad you are joining me once again here in the Reading Corner, where we have been exploring and enjoying some great books from author and illustrator Jan Brett. We've explored The Mitten and cozied up in The Hat. We've been on a wonderful journey with the gingerbread baby as he was a little bit mischievous, a little bit adventurous. We've had some really interesting tales and some great artwork to enjoy together. Today, I thought before we journey into Jan Brett's warmer stories, she likes to do a lot of stories in cold climates. I thought we would explore one more chilly tale. This one's a great one. It's based off a fairy tale. I don't know if you've ever heard the fairy tale, The Three Bears. Three bears in the woods. A little girl named Goldilocks who goes walking in the woods, finds the three bears' home, enters in. You know the tale. Hopefully you do. This story is super similar. There is a little girl. She is out for the day with her sled dogs, trying to go ice fishing. Not in the woods. The setting is in a very cold climate. Located at the top of the earth, north. Can you think of a place that's extremely cold, that's at the top of the planet? Did you guess that the story setting is taking place in the Arctic, the North Pole? If you did, you are correct. Today, we are going to venture into a really good fairy tale twist, a little bit different, called The Three Snow Bears. And you can see that these bears are not brown bears. These bears are white bears. They live in the North Pole, so these characters are going to be polar bears. So before we get started, let's explore the North Pole just a little bit so we can get familiar with our setting and our characters. I love to, when I'm reading Jan Brett books, I love to see her illustrations because they're very detailed and they're very realistic. Even though this is a fiction story, it's actually like a fairy tale based off the three bears, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, which is classified as a fairy tale. The realistic drawing, those look like real polar bears. So first of all, I was looking through some of my old items from when I taught school, and I found this Go North Scholastic News, or Weekly Reader actually. And it talks about lots of animals that live in the Arctic. And so that was interesting. But what I wanted to show you here was a map of our planet Earth. This is a drawing, a model, and it just shows you the top of the Earth and the bottom of the Earth, the opposite. These are the poles. North Pole is up in the South Pole, which is the opposite. That's the Antarctic. This is the Arctic. That's the extreme top of our Earth. It's very cold. It's a different kind of place. It says, where's the Arctic Circle? The Arctic Circle is near the North Pole, way up at the top of the Earth. Animals that live in the Arctic must be able to survive in cold, icy air. Okay, so that's just the location. And then I found this really, before I give you the polar bear information, I did want to kind of just show you a little bit. I just found this book also called Poles Apart, the difference between the North and South Pole. And I thought this was quite interesting. It shows you what lives in the North Pole versus the South, opposites. And as I was exploring this nonfiction, it was saying that polar bears live in the North Pole while penguins live in the South Pole, and the two would never meet in real life because they live at opposite ends of the globe. Did you know that? Interesting. I don't think I knew that. I think I thought they lived pretty close together. And then it just shows a little bit more about the environment. But also I wanted to show you that even though the North Pole is very cold, it does experience a summer. And this is what the summer might look like at the North Pole. I don't know how long summer lasts, but they do actually have plants that grow. I'm sure it's colder than our summer. However, they do experience summer. That's fascinating. You know, if you want to explore more, as you're reading a fiction book, I always think to pair it with nonfiction information because it inspires me. If I'm reading about animals or places, it makes me want to know more about those real animals or real places because you can learn a lot, even though you're reading and diving into a fiction story or even a fairy tale. So take a closer look at the Arctic and get to know the North and the South Pole just a little bit more. I hope that will inspire you. Now, one last thing before we move on to our story. I also found this diagram of a polar bear. Look at how large, standing on 2 feet. He's a mammoth. He's huge. Now, in this diagram, you've got little boxes and it tells you some quick facts. So I thought that would be really great for us to explore some quick facts about the polar bear. It says the polar bear's body. Its amazing body helps it live in the cold because it's very cold. First of all, it says the bear has amazing ears that lie flat against its head when it swims. Water can't get in. That's better than earplugs. Hey, I didn't know that. I do know that they're really good swimmers though. And then this diagram arrow is pointing at a polar bear's nose. Let's find out more. The bear has an amazing nose. It can smell animals from many miles away, and it can even smell them when they are deep under the ice. And one of the favorite meals, sad to say, of a polar bear is a seal. And I think I read they can even smell seals underwater. Amazing. Now, moving on to their, looks like pointing to the paw. The bear has amazing paws. They are as big as dinner plates. I love that comparison because I know what size my plate is when I eat dinner. Wow, I can't even imagine. I don't want to meet up with a polar bear. That paw could really swipe. They help the bear walk on the soft snow without sinking in. And it shows a really close up of their little padding on the bottom. So it's like they're able to walk on that soft snow and it just keeps them on top. I love how animals in their environments have special qualities and characteristics that help them live and survive. And it's always fun to find out the facts. Finally, it says the bear has amazing fur. If you're living in a cold climate, you've got to stay warm. Its short and thick fur grows close to its body. The bear has another layer of fur on top of that. It's like the bear is wearing two sweaters. And I did read somewhere also that if you get down to the bear's skin, you will find that the color is black and not white. Amazing! Polar bears are very large and fierce creatures in the wild. I don't want to meet up with one, but I love learning more about this amazing animal who's going to be the star of the show, the star of the book. There's going to be a little girl also and her snow dogs, but I think the three bears are definitely going to be on the spotlight. And these bears are wearing clothes. We know real polar bears don't need any clothes because they have 2 layers of fur. Let's find out what happens today in The Three Snow Bears by Jan Brett. And we've got to look in those windows too. Let's look at the very first page here, or pages. It's just pictures, and you can see some igloos, which are ice houses made up of blocks. And I do think that the native people that live in Alaska and different cold places, they do still, when they're camping, build these frozen little houses as their camp sites. And you can see that these are actually polar bear pictures. They've got sleds, they've got coats, and I love the traditional coat that is on the polar bears. There's different animals. There's a snowy owl, there's a walrus, and there's a narwhal creature. The Three Bears by Jan Brett. You can see that on the first page here, there's the sled dogs. They're sleeping, and the little girl is ice fishing. And that's where, if you live in a really cold place, you can go on the ice with your sled and cut a hole. This is for professionals only, obviously. Don't try this one at home. The ice has to be very thick and very frozen. And in a place like the North Pole, the Arctic, it would be for sure. You can cut a little hole and put your fishing pole or string down there and catch some fish. Now here is the first little window. You've got a seal on top of, it looks like a little circle shape with the igloo, and then a creature down there. And it's dedicated for Katie with thanks to the Brookfield Zoo. You know, Jen always does her research before she writes, so she can get to know what she's working with. So it is realistic, and I love that about Jen. On this page, again, we've got our window. We've got the three bears, and then up here you've got some seals, and then you've got a problem already occurring at the very beginning. Icebergs that's pieces of ice in the water, are holding her sled and sled dogs, and all of a sudden it breaks free and the dogs go floating away and she can't get to them. Let's find out what happens. Come on, get a cozy spot, cuddle up, grab some hot chocolate if you need to. Let's enjoy the Three Snow Bears. Come back, Aloo-ki shouted as her huskies floated out to sea. Oh no! She knew that although the ice floe is a good place to fish, it's a bad place to lose a dog team. How's she going to get back home if she doesn't have her dog team to lead her back? A very snowy place, you need this type of transportation. Not far away, a snow bear family had just started to eat their breakfast, but it was way too hot for Baby Bear. And you can see there's Baby Bear going, too hot. So Aloo-ki is here, the three snow bears at the same time. It's interesting to think as you're doing something, someone else is doing something else. And the adventure continues. I'm going to show you the whole page because it goes together. You can see they're going to go out for the morning. You've got baby bear, mama bear, papa bear. They're wearing clothes, and she's holding baby bear's hand like real people would do. So you know that's fiction for sure. In this little picture, you've got some ravens or blackbirds, and then you've got Aloo-ki. She is really worried about her dog sled. It is definitely floating away. She's chasing it. She's following it as it floats on down the frozen waterway. Owie! Yowl, baby bear, my breakfast burned my mouth. Ah, that's a bad feeling. We'll go for a stroll and let the soup cool, Mama Bear said. Oh, instead of porridge like the three bears, they're eating a soup. You think it's seal soup or fish soup? Yikes. Let's find out what happens next. In the meanwhile, while they go for a walk, you know how the tale goes. They go for their walk. Aloo-ki has chased her sled down the river. It's going way out. She can't get to it, but she does stumble upon a little ice house extravaganza. And there's even a statue of a penguin. That's cute. I love the details. Look at her snow boots and snow jacket. Very warm because it's a super cold place. You gotta have the right gear. So the dogs are off, and the three Snow Bear family members are walking, and she comes to the door. Do you think she's going in? Well, if it follows the story of the three bears, I think she's going in. But what will she find in an ice house? Icy chairs? That wouldn't be too comfortable. Let's go in with her. I think she's going. Oh yeah, she went in. There she is up close. She's looking around. I love the details on her face. Over to the side, we've got the Snow Bears having a fun time in the water. Looks like there's some ice they're floating on, and they're pointing at something. They notice something in the water, so they're pointing. I think they might be pointing at, what do you think? Could it be some food? Could it be, we'll have to wait and find out. Oh, here's a clue in the, you know how Jan always throws us little clues. I spy, say the Snow Bears, a sled dog team. Aloo-ki ducked inside. That's what ducked inside, like she had to get down low in the door. Right away she smelled something delicious. Across the room she saw a big bowl, middle-sized bowl, and a small bowl. Surely the good smell was coming from the three bowls. Should she continue? What would you do? I wouldn't have went in, definitely. But this is a fairy tale. Let's see what she does. She is probably hungry. She's been out all morning. And guess what she did? Oh boy. And it looks like she's got the smaller bowl, right? Over here to the side, we've got the three bears taking off. Well, they've taken off their sweaters. And then she's slurping the soup. And then over here, it looks like they're diving. And I guess they took their sweaters off to dive in the water. Well, that makes sense. You don't want to wear your clothes in the water. Aloo-ki took a sip from the biggest bowl. Oh, she cried, too hot. She took a sip from the middle-sized bowl. Ooh, too cold. She tipped up the littlest bowl and drank every drop. She said, not too hot, not too cold. And in the original tale, she says it's just right. And eats it all up. Ha! Oh boy, this looks fun. Now in the original Three Bears, she's trying out the chairs, secondly. But look in this one, she's trying out some different size snow boots. Look at these beautiful moccasins. That's by beadwork and craft work from the people that originated there. Inuit, I think they're called. The three snow bears are splashing and playing. I love how Jan's giving us a picture into what they're doing. They're splashing and playing. And they're swimming. Remember, they can swim really well. They have those ears that are close to their heads so they don't get water. They can smell underwater too. Did you know that polar bears were good swimmers? I'm learning a lot about this amazingly awesome creature. In the next room, Aloo-ki spotted 3 pairs of beautiful boots standing in a row. She put on the biggest boot. Too big. Yeah, those are gigantor. And we know that an adult polar bear has a paw the size of a dinner plate. Well, that's very large, very large. She put on the middle-sized boot. Well, this one's too fancy. You know, Mama. She loves things all fancy-dancy. Look at those beautifully beaded boots. I don't care. I think I'd wear them. She put on the littlest pair just right, she said, wiggling her toes in a soft fur lining. Because their clothes, especially back a long time ago, their original clothes that they made were made from animals. So if they killed a bear or a deer, then they would use the fur, they would tan the hides and make their clothing and even their boots. Let's see what happens next. This is funny. Did you notice that? The rabbit's holding up the little window. I love that. You really have to just go slowly, travel slowly and enjoy those illustrations. Maybe before you read any Jan Brett book, it might be wise just to look at the illustrations, gather it all in, and then read the words. She's detailed. So here's what's going on next. The 3 bears meet up with the sled dogs on an iceberg. That could be a problem for the 3 sled dogs, maybe. And then Aloo-ki is taking a snooky snack nap. She's all cozied up. Aloo-ki walked into the last room and found a long sleeping bench piled high with fur covers, because that's how they made their blankets. Heat from an oil lamp warmed her cheeks, and that oil might have come from if they had killed a whale. Again, the people that lived in this cold Arctic land long ago survived by killing animals for food and for clothing. There was a purpose in it. But the thing I love about the native people of a land, they didn't waste anything. They used everything of the animal. They used the blubber, the fat, the fur. They used lots of body parts, like even bones they cleaned and used for tools. So they couldn't go to Walmart and buy things. They could make things. So their light would be from an oil lamp, and the oil might come from the blubber of an animal. That's the fat, because fat burns. The oil lamp warmed her cheeks and made her sleepy. Time for a nap, she thought. Well, it has been a very adventurous day. She crawled under the highest mound of covers. Too lumpy. That must be Papa's area, she grumbled. She tried the middle-sized bed with the furry fringe cover, but sank down too far that she could hardly breathe. Too soft, she said. So there's Father Bear or Papa Bear. His covers are very heavy. And then, of course, Fancy Dancy Mama Bear. She's got the fringy cover. I think that's kind of cool looking. But the bed was so soft. For a little girl, she's thinking. But you know what she found. She rolled over into the smallest, you know whose bed that is, sleeping place. The furry blanket was cozy and warm, and the pillow was just her size. Just right, Aloo-ki murmured, and was asleep before she could take off her boots. So this cozy little igloo has the 3 beds, and look up here, a storage strung. You know, there's not a lot of space or ground space or floor space, just enough for your beds and maybe a place to cook or sit. And then you might have to store your supplies at the top. That's interesting. In the meantime, it looks like the 3 snow bears are smiling at the sled dogs, at the huskies. I think this could be a good situation. Now there's some kind of a snowbird holding up the circle, the peekaboo circle. And in the peekaboo circle, it looks like the ice is coming back together a little bit. They call broken ice, big chunks, icebergs. If Aloo-ki hadn't fallen fast asleep, she might have heard her dogs barking happily. Oh, they saved the day. The 3 snow bears rescued the dogs. They're awake, they're happy, and there they are. Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear had spotted them adrift in the strong current and gone out to save them. Oh, what a nice bear family. The Snow Bear family was pushing Aloo-ki's dog team back toward their igloo in safety. They're ready to go home, so they're rescuing the dogs. And she's fast asleep. Shh. Wonder what they're going to think when they get home and they spy that things are not quite the same. Uh-oh. This is just like the traditional 3 bear story. They come in and they notice something's amiss right away. So we've got the huskies outside. They're happy. They're playing. You've got the 3 snow bears inside, Mama, Papa, and Baby. And it looks like Mama Bear's not too happy about that. They're checking out the situation. Papa Bear crawled into the igloo and saw his big bowl sitting in a pool of spilled soup. Oops. Someone's been tasting my soup, he roared. Mama Bear rushed in and saw her soup had been sloshed around too. Nobody wants to eat if someone's been messing in their food. I don't. Someone's been sipping my soup, she growled. They're none too happy, and I don't blame them. Someone found my soup, sputtered Baby Bear in her high squeaky voice, and they ate it all up. Oh no, that's about as bad as someone tasting. Yikes. Snow dogs are sitting outside. Well, they're still waiting. They're taking a little snapper-napper. It's been a big day. And then you can see that the 3 snow bears have moved to the next area with the boots. What will they discover now? Ooh, let's find out. Papa Bear ran into the next room because they know something's amiss. He saw his boots in the middle of the floor. Someone's been trying on my boots, he boomed in his big bear voice. Mama Bear put on her fancy boots. Someone's had these on, she huffed, and the fur is all bunched up. Baby Bear saw her boots and had disappeared. Someone has taken my boots and left behind these not as good ones. Ah, she wailed. She cried out. So there's Aloo-ki's boots. Oh my goodness. I don't know about you, but if someone had been in my house messing in my stuff, I would feel really grumpy about it. And you can see, dogs are happy snoozing. Wonder if they're going in the bedroom next. And what will Aloo-ki do? Oh boy, here we go. Window shows. Sled dog, ready to go. They're all tied up, but they're sleeping in the snow. And Aloo-ki is also snoozing. It's been a very trying big day for her. Meanwhile, the bears journey on into their igloo. The bears ran into their bedroom. Someone's been sleeping in my bed, Papa Bear bellowed. That means he said it very loudly. Someone's been sleeping in my bed too, Mama Bear cried. Baby Bear peeked at her little bed and squeaked. Someone's been sleeping in my bed and here she is. Oh boy. Wonder what's going to happen next. I can't wait to find out. You know, a book is really great if you can't wait to turn the page. You're not sure what happens, but you can't wait to find out. Here we go. The dogs are awake and alert. They've woken up. The bears are just hovering over top of Aloo-ki, looking at her with their bear eyes. Like, what are you doing? They definitely don't look happy. And I don't blame them. It's the appropriate feeling, don't you think? And Aloo-ki is looks like she's very frightened. Which, if you met a polar bear in the wild, for sure you would be. You wouldn't want to meet up. But if you're in the house of where you're not supposed to be and you meet up with the owners, yikes. Aloo-ki opened her eyes and saw 3 bears' noses only inches away. And you know those smellers on the bears are very good. So you get the picture. What do you think she's going to do? Is she going to speak to them? Are they going to speak to her? Are they going to say, what are you doing in here, little girl? Or is she going to run out like Goldilocks did? But she met up with the 3 bears in the woods, in the little log house. Oh boy. Whoa. She's out of there. Look at that. She's running right under the legs of, looks like Father Bear. The dogs are alert and ready. They've probably heard the commotion. They're ready to go. See that window right there. And then it looks like they're ready to move. It's snowing a little bit. She's on the move. They're really shocked. They don't know what's going on. She hopped up out of bed and dove between Papa Bear's legs. Papa Bear's huge, furry legs. I love the description. Huge, furry legs. And the words get bolder. She's out of there. I can't say I blame her. But if she'd stopped to chat just for a minute, she'd find out that they actually helped her. This is hilarious. Look at Papa Bear looking up under his legs. That is funny. Very detailed and cute. She meets up with her dog sled team. Thankfully, she's glad. And that little window shows Papa Bear. He's got a good look on his face, kind of like, oh, that's the owner of the dog sled He's kind of like, I guess it all worked out. He's got a nice look on his face. Quicker than a seal, Aloo-ki ran from room to room until she burst outside. Her huskies bounced around, barking and smiling their doggy grins. Oh, she's so happy to meet up with them. And quick, we got to get out of here. Mama Bear is peeking out, you can see. And she's happy with the situation. She's like, oh, this is working out really well. I think they're going to get rid of their startled, maybe a little bit angry feelings. All is working out for good. I love the happy ending too, don't you? Aloo-ki and her dogs flew over the frozen ice. Dodging ridges and cracks, she looked back to wave a thank you to the snow bears. She realizes that they were friendly bears. They helped her. I think they realized that she was a sweet girl who just was curious. How well that ends well, right? She couldn't see them, but she heard a big gruff voice, a middle-sized voice, and a high squeaky voice calling to her. There's the clue. You know what they're calling. They're probably saying, goodbye, good luck. She's smiling. The dogs are happy. Everyone's happy. And here's what they're saying. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. Oh, that was such a cute story. It was a lot like the Three Bears and Goldilocks, but with a cold and with a cold environment and a little bit of a twist. I love how Jan takes an ordinary fairy tale and pulls in a different setting, some different characters, but keeps the story thread pretty close to the original. You know, as an author, it's okay to borrow or be inspired by the stories that you love and the stories that you're reading. You read a story as an author, and then it inspires you to write your own version or take a similar situation, but put some new details in it. Give it a fresh face, so to please. And the story keeps on living, but it's tweaked just a little bit. So if you are inspired by a good book that you're reading at home, why don't you sit down and think about some changes you can make to the story and write your own version or illustrate some little story pictures. Yeah, that would be fun too. All right. I hope you've enjoyed this very snowy, cute, cold version of the Three Bears, the Three Snow Bears. Now, I'd like to continue with you reading a few more Jan Brett books. However, I'm ready to get to a warmer climate, so I've got two more stories that I'd like to share with you. The Three Little Dassies and Honey Honey Lion. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to do next, but I want you to join me as we continue the adventure. You know, whatever place that we journey to, we're going to find out some totally true facts about these places. We're going to see some real plant life, real animal, but the animals are going to do things that they really can't, so that's make-believe. They're going to look and act like they're real animals. And the environment's going to be one that you can learn. So I love how we're meshing fact and fiction together. Okay, join me for our next Jan Brett reading adventure. We're going to journey into two more books. And then, well, we don't know where we're going to journey yet, but we're going to do it together. So keep on learning, keep on exploring. If you are so interested, find out more about the poles or even polar animals, or maybe you want to find out some more facts about polar bears. All right, until our next story time together, as always, stay warm and enjoy good books. I'll see you real soon. I can't wait.